Have you ever wondered what it's really like to move into a nursing home? It's a big life change, and the reality can be much different from what you might expect. Many people imagine it as a peaceful, well-cared-for place where you can relax, but there are a few hard truths that often go unspoken. In today's video, we're going to dive into the 6 things I wish I knew before making the transition into a nursing home. These are the real-life experiences, challenges, and lessons learned that can help prepare you, or your loved ones, for what to expect when making this major step. Trust me, this is not your typical nursing home story. Let's jump into it. When you think about moving into a nursing home, the first thing that probably comes to mind is the physical care, doctors, nurses, and assistants with daily tasks. But what often gets overlooked is the emotional toll it can take. It's a huge adjustment, and it's easy to feel like you've lost control over your life. You're no longer in your own home, surrounded by familiar faces and spaces. Instead, you're in a place where everything feels unfamiliar. For many, this can lead to feelings of isolation, loneliness, and even depression. One of the hardest parts is the sense of losing your independence. The day-to-day routines, the schedule set by the facility, and the limitations on what you can or can't do can all feel overwhelming. You may find yourself missing the simple things, like being able to go for a walk whenever you feel like it or eating a meal on your own time. It can sometimes feel like your personal autonomy is slipping away. Let me share a story from someone I spoke with. A woman named Karen who had been in a nursing home for a few months. She told me that at first she felt like she was constantly surrounded by people, yet still felt completely alone. The staff were kind, but they were busy with so many residents. It wasn't the same as having a loved one come by, or being able to call a friend at any given time. Here's something to consider. Research shows that people in nursing homes often report higher levels of loneliness and depression compared to those who are living independently. According to a study by the National Institute on Aging, nearly 43% of nursing home residents experience feelings of loneliness, and many feel disconnected from their loved ones. So, if you or a loved one is preparing for this transition, remember that emotional support is just as important as physical care. Finding ways to stay connected with friends and family, and finding meaningful activities to keep the mind engaged, can make a huge difference. One thing that helped Karen was joining a weekly craft group at the nursing home. Even though it took time to adjust, she slowly began to make new friends, and that helped her feel more at home. Whether it's a hobby or even just a regular phone call with a friend, staying emotionally connected is key. If you've ever imagined that moving into a nursing home would offer you your own private space, think again. Privacy is something that can quickly disappear once you're in this new living environment. You're not just sharing your home with a roommate, you're sharing your personal space with the facility's staff, caregivers, and sometimes even other residents. Point 2. The lack of personal privacy. One of the biggest surprises for many people is how little personal privacy there actually is. Even when you have your own room, it doesn't always feel like your own. Staff members are coming in at regular intervals to assist with daily tasks like administering medication, helping with bathing, or just checking in to ensure everything is going smoothly. While their intentions are good, it can start to feel like you're being watched all the time. And the absence of privacy can make it tough to maintain any sense of dignity. Think about it. Simple daily routines like getting dressed or having personal conversations can feel exposed when you have someone else in the room with you. This is especially difficult for those who are used to having complete control over their own personal space and daily schedule. Take Mr. Henderson, a gentleman I spoke with who has lived in a nursing home for over a year. He shared that one of the hardest parts of his transition was losing the ability to have uninterrupted private time. He would try to relax in his room, but the door was always open, and he felt like he couldn't get away from the constant flow of people. Even something as basic as taking a nap felt challenging, because he could never quite relax without someone entering or asking questions. And then there's the issue of shared rooms. In many nursing homes, you're not given a private room. Instead, you share it with another resident. That means your space isn't just about you anymore. There's a need to compromise on things like lighting, temperature, and even cleanliness. These shared spaces can be uncomfortable for anyone, but especially for those who have lived alone for a long time. Now, you may be wondering, how do you deal with this lack of privacy? First, it's crucial to voice your needs. If you value personal space or time alone, make sure to communicate that with the staff and your family. Many nursing homes are willing to accommodate requests, but it requires open communication. If you're sharing a room with someone, try to find ways to create boundaries. Use headphones if noise is an issue, or set specific times for private conversations with family and friends. It may not be a perfect solution, but finding ways to carve out some me time can help you maintain a sense of autonomy. Point 3. The challenges of finding activities that engage you. When you think of nursing homes, You might imagine residents spending their time engaging in fun activities like games, arts and crafts, or group outings. While these activities do exist, finding ones that truly engage you can be surprisingly difficult. Nursing homes typically offer a set schedule of recreational activities, but the variety and appeal of these options often don't cater to everyone's interests. Some residents might enjoy the regular bingo games or movie nights, but others might feel bored or disconnected. There's a wide gap between what's offered and what different individuals enjoy or can participate in. Take, for example, Helen, a woman in her early 70s who recently moved into a nursing home. She told me that, while there were plenty of activities on the schedule, none of them seemed to align with her interests. She used to love gardening, but gardening wasn't offered as an activity in her facility. She also enjoyed book clubs, but the one in her new home was more focused on socializing than actual reading. Helen found herself often sitting in her room, feeling like she wasn't able to fully engage in anything that felt meaningful to her. It's important to remember that not every resident will feel a sense of fulfillment from the same activities. For some, exercise classes or social events might be a highlight. But for others, the lack of personalized options can feel isolating. One thing many people don't realize is that nursing homes are usually open to feedback from residents. If there's something you're interested in doing that isn't already on the calendar, don't be afraid to suggest it. Whether it's starting a gardening group, forming a reading club, or even organizing an outing to a local museum, nursing homes may be more flexible than you think when it comes to offering options that reflect the residents' interests. In fact, a study published by the National Center for Biotechnology Information found that offering a variety of activities that engage residents' cognitive, physical, and emotional needs significantly improves their quality of life and overall happiness. So, if you find yourself at a facility where the activities don't quite match what you're looking for, it's worth raising your voice and trying to get something started. If you're in a nursing home and feeling like there's nothing interesting to do, start small. Maybe it's organizing a walking group or a weekly trivia session. Taking the initiative can create new opportunities for yourself and others to get involved. Point 4. The cost can be overwhelming. Moving into a nursing home can often come with a hefty price tag, one that catches many people by surprise. While it's easy to think of a nursing home as a place that takes care of all your needs, the financial aspect is something that's rarely discussed openly. Nursing home costs can vary significantly depending on location, level of care needed, and the specific amenities offered. On average, according to Genworth's 2020 Cost of Care Survey, the national average for a semi-private room in a nursing home is around $7,756 per month. A private room can cost upwards of $8,800 per month or more. For those who need higher levels of care, such as specialized memory care for dementia or Alzheimer's, the costs can skyrocket to even higher figures. The problem many people run into is that Medicare only covers a portion of these costs, and only for a limited time, typically just 100 days after hospitalization under specific conditions. After that, residents must rely on private insurance or their personal savings to cover the remaining expenses. This is where many families struggle, especially if they're unprepared for the financial burden. In fact, research shows that the average nursing home stay is around 2 to 3 years, and many people exhaust their life savings trying to cover these costs. This financial strain can be especially overwhelming for families. Imagine this scenario. You've spent years saving for retirement, only to find that a large portion of those funds is being drained by nursing home fees. For some, this can lead to difficult decisions about how much care they can afford and whether they need to sacrifice other aspects of their lifestyle. But here's the thing, it's not all doom and gloom. There are options to help alleviate these costs, like long-term care insurance, Medicaid, or veterans benefits if applicable. It's also crucial to start planning early. The earlier you or your family can begin thinking about these potential costs, the better. Some families find that it's worth having a financial advisor or elder care consultant help guide them through the process of finding the most affordable and sustainable options. If you're planning ahead for a potential nursing home stay, it's wise to have an open conversation with your financial planner. Explore long-term care insurance, or look into local Medicaid options. Planning ahead can reduce the stress of trying to figure it all out when the time comes. Point 5. The staff-to-resident ratio can affect quality of care. One thing that may not always be immediately obvious when moving into a nursing home is how much the staff-to-resident ratio can impact the quality of care you receive. While every nursing home has staff members who are caring and dedicated, the reality is that facilities often operate with limited staffing, and that can mean less individual attention for each resident. In an ideal world, you'd have staff members who are available to provide personalized care whenever you need it. but that's not always the case. Many nursing homes struggle to hire enough qualified staff to meet the needs of their residents. This is especially true in facilities with high numbers of residents who require varying levels of care. For example, a facility may have a staff of 5 to 10 people assigned to care for 50 to 100 residents. That's a significant ratio that can make it challenging for staff to provide the kind of personalized care every individual deserves. And when the staff is stretched thin, residents often have to wait longer for help, which can lead to frustration, discomfort, or a decline in the quality of care. A survey by the American Healthcare Association found that more than 70% of nursing homes reported challenges with staffing shortages, and this has been an ongoing issue, particularly with the growing demand for elderly care as baby boomers age. I spoke to an elderly man named Tom who shared his experience with me. Tom had a great deal of respect for the nurses and caregivers in his facility, but he found himself waiting longer than he liked for assistance with basic needs like using the bathroom or getting help with meals. He felt that staff often had to divide their time between so many residents that it sometimes left him feeling neglected or, at times, frustrated. It's important to note that not all facilities are the same, and there are ways to address this challenge. If you're looking for a nursing home, try to visit the facility during different times of the day to see how staff interact with residents and how quickly they respond to requests. Some homes have programs in place to ensure more staff are available during peak hours or when additional assistance is needed. If this is a concern for you, it's definitely something to address with the facility before moving in. When touring nursing homes, ask about the staff-to-resident ratio and whether the facility has any plans to improve staffing levels. It's crucial to ensure that the facility is capable of meeting the specific needs of its residents. Point 6. The social and family dynamics can change drastically. One of the most unexpected challenges of moving into a nursing home is the shift in your social and family dynamics. When you leave your home and move into a facility, you're not just adjusting to a new environment, you're also changing the way you interact with family members and friends. Before moving in, you may have been used to having regular visits from family, spontaneous outings, or simply being able to pick up the phone and call a friend whenever you wanted to chat. But in a nursing home, visits can become more scheduled and less frequent. Family members may have their own responsibilities or may live far away, which means you may not see them as often as you'd like. This can lead to feelings of abandonment, even if your loved ones are trying their best to stay involved. There's also the reality that some relationships may shift entirely. For example, you might find that your children, who were once your caregivers, now become your visitors. The emotional weight of this can be significant as the roles reverse. The people who once relied on you may now be in the position of having to care for you. And don't forget about the social environment within the nursing home itself. It's not always easy to make new friends or feel connected to others when you're in a new place. It can feel like being the new kid in school, except this time, the classmates are elderly people with their own struggles, memories, and backgrounds. Making connections in a nursing home can take time, and it doesn't always happen easily. Take the example of Joan, a woman in her late 60s, who shared how the dynamic between her and her children had shifted after moving into the nursing home. She said, "At first I felt like I was just a guest at my own family's gatherings. It was hard to accept that I wasn't the one hosting anymore. I had to learn to let go of that role and let my kids take over. It took a while for us to figure out a new way to interact." But while these changes can be difficult, they don't have to be permanent. It's possible to rebuild strong connections with your family and make new friends in the nursing home. What helped Joan was setting aside regular times for phone calls with her children and finding other residents who shared similar interests. If you're in a nursing home, it's important to stay proactive about maintaining your social connections. Make an effort to schedule regular visits or phone calls with family, and try joining group activities or making small talk with others in the facility. You might be surprised at how quickly new relationships can form, and they can be a great source of support. As we've explored today, moving into a nursing home is not as simple as it may initially appear. It's a huge transition, emotionally, physically, and socially, and it brings with it a set of challenges that many people aren't prepared for. From the emotional toll of losing independence to the financial burden of long-term care, and the sometimes difficult dynamics with staff and family, these hard truths can be eye-opening. But the good news is, with the right mindset and preparation, these challenges can be managed. If you're heading into this next chapter of life, or if you have a loved one who is, take the time to learn about the realities of nursing home life. Communicate openly with the facility staff about your needs, keep an open line of communication with your family, and remember that the most important thing is maintaining your emotional well-being. It's not an easy journey, but it's one that many people have navigated successfully by being proactive and informed. Whether it's advocating for better care, finding meaningful activities, or staying socially connected, it's possible to make the nursing home experience a more fulfilling one. If you or a loved one is preparing for a nursing home, don't just go in with the expectation that everything will be smooth. Instead, approach the transition with an open mind, clear communication, and the willingness to adapt to the challenges that arise. This way, you can make this chapter of life one of growth, connection, and peace. If you found this video helpful or insightful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to stay updated on more important discussions like this one. If you have any experiences or advice about moving into a nursing home, we'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Share this video with anyone who might need it, and take care of yourselves or your loved ones during these major transitions.